The world's most dangerous nuclear waste, Chernobyl's elephant's foot. This mass, roughly 2 meters wide and weighing 2 tons, emitted 10,000 roentgens of radiation per hour when it first formed. This is such an immense power that just 30 seconds of exposure causes dizziness, while 300 seconds leads to certain death within a few days. The invisible effects of the catastrophe that birthed this mass crossed borders so quickly that even though there was an attempt to cover up the incident, other countries thousands of kilometers away immediately noticed the unusual change in the atmosphere. When sensors at a nuclear power plant in Sweden triggered alarms, the world realized something was wrong, and the greatest nuclear crisis in human history was exposed in this way. On a late April night in 1986, a routine safety test at the nuclear power plant quickly spiraled into a catastrophic nightmare. A sudden power surge caused a massive steam explosion that blew the 1,000-ton steel lid off Reactor 4. The core was completely exposed to the open sky, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the air. Inside the shattered facility, temperatures within the reactor core rapidly climbed beyond 2,000 degrees Celsius. This catastrophic heat was far too intense for any man-made structural material to withstand. The uranium fuel rods began to melt together with the surrounding metal machinery, graphite control blocks, and the thick concrete foundations. This terrifying process marked the birth of a lethal substance that does not exist anywhere in nature. Every element in the core fused together into a single, highly toxic radioactive sludge. This glowing, bubbling liquid became a chaotic soup of molten uranium and industrial debris, possessing immense heat and unstoppable destructive force. Fueled by its own intense nuclear reactions, the molten mass began burning through everything in its path. It eroded the thick, reinforced concrete floors of the reactor room like hot acid. The sludge slowly trickled down through structural breaches and pipes, silently migrating into the dark subterranean levels below the facility. After the explosion, the melted reactor core turned into a dangerous liquid, just like volcanic lava. This radioactive liquid started flowing downward through the broken pipes and holes of the building. It slowly moved into the dark basement rooms beneath the reactor. It filled these cold, concrete spaces with extreme heat and invisible danger. This substance was not a natural material, and nothing like it existed on Earth before. It was a chaotic mixture of melted uranium fuel, metal pieces, and dissolved concrete. Scientists named this completely man-made radioactive lava corium. It was a toxic soup that combined everything it touched into a single deadly substance. Over the next few days, the extreme heat slowly began to lower, and the liquid lava started to cool down. As it cooled, the soft mixture turned into a very hard, solid gray rock. The material formed thick wrinkles and layers on the outside as it hardened, showing how slowly and heavily it had been flowing. The immediate impact of the explosion was devastating for the workers and the local environment. A massive radioactive cloud, filled with toxic dust, escaped into the atmosphere from the shattered roof of the facility. In the first few weeks following the disaster, around 30 workers and firefighters lost their lives due to extreme radiation exposure. The surrounding pine forest turned a deep red color and died within days, showing the immense power of the invisible poison. While the authorities tried to keep the disaster a secret from the public, the radioactive wind began to travel across international borders. Huge air masses carried the dangerous particles northwest over parts of Europe. Because radiation cannot be seen or smelled, millions of people were completely unaware that a toxic cloud from another country was silently passing over their homes and fields. The secret could not be kept for long, because other nations quickly noticed something was wrong. Workers at a nuclear power plant in Sweden detected high levels of radiation on their clothing before even entering their facility. They quickly realized the contamination was coming from the outside air, blowing in from thousands of kilometers away. forcing the global community to demand answers. The environmental damage quickly spread across many regions as radioactive rain contaminated the soil. Farmers in distant countries had to destroy huge amounts of milk, vegetables, and crops because the ground was poisoned. This turning point made humanity realize that a single nuclear accident could easily affect the health of ecosystems and food supplies across the entire world. Months after the catastrophe, liquidation workers navigated the dark, collapsed basements of the fourth reactor. They were guided only by the violent clicking of their radiation sensors. In a forgotten subterranean hallway, they finally discovered the shocking sight. A massive, grayish-black, lava-like rock had hardened on the floor. Its wrinkled, layered structure looked exactly like the foot of a giant elephant, creating a truly terrifying monument of disaster. Although it had cooled from its molten state, this solidified mass remained a sleeping monster. It was silently giving off deadly radiation to everything around it. In those early years, just a few moments of exposure was enough to guarantee an agonizing death within weeks. Its unseen gamma rays pierced through heavy protective suits, treating any nearby life as a target and completely destroying any robot sent to investigate. To study the ongoing danger, scientists urgently needed physical samples of this rock. Standard drills failed completely to cut into its hardened surface, which was harder than industrial concrete. In a desperate move, authorities decided to use force. A soldier was brought in with a specialized armor-piercing rifle to shoot the mass from a safe distance down the hallway, successfully breaking off a fragment for analysis. Capturing a visual record of the object was another extreme challenge for the research teams. The intense energy constantly attacked camera film, creating heavy static noise and distorting every image like a ghost. The most famous photograph of the mass shows a blurred human figure standing right next to the deadly object, documenting ground zero for the entire world. Even today, those haunting pictures remain some of the most important and terrifying images in history. The true human cost of the Chernobyl disaster spans generations, starting with 31 immediate deaths from the explosion and acute radiation sickness. However, the World Health Organization estimates that the long-term toll includes up to 4,000 premature cancer deaths among the 600,000 heavily exposed liquidators and local residents, while other independent studies suggest total global casualties could exceed 90,000. The accident forced the immediate evacuation of more than 116,000 people from their homes in 1986, eventually displacing over 350,000 individuals and creating a permanent 30-kilometer exclusion zone that covers roughly 2,600 square kilometers of abandoned territory to this day.